Welcome to the Impact Lounge. Feel the sound. Legends in the ring making moves all around. We got the fire, the heart, the stories untold. This is our moment. Watch the magic unfold. Welcome to the Impact Lounge, where we reign. Kings and queens of the ring breaking chains. We taking wrestling to a whole new height. Under bright lights, we ignite the fight. Genesis to rebellion. The crowd still chanting.
Yeah. What's up, jobbers? It is your boy BQ. Welcome back to the Negative BQ YouTube channel. This is your Impact Lounge Impact review for March 29, 2025. Decent enough episode from El Paso. We're going to talk about it here in a bit. It's good. It feels good right now that I'm getting on here and can just kind of chat Impact with you, talk about the episode. I've done, like 3 uploads regarding Gail Kim this week. And, I do some of the insider stuff for you guys, but I don't typically go out and seek the information. It just depends on what the audience obviously needs to hear. But it gets tiring sometimes because, there's a lot of negativity that comes with it. And it's really, really crazy because people will act like I don't know what I'm talking about. Like I'm making up the shit that I say. Like, I got better shit to do with my time, trust me, than make shit up about pro wrestling and make shit up about conversations that I have. I have way better shit to do with my time. I had a Twitter troll yesterday tell me that I'm a dummy who just wants to be in the wrestling industry. Like, clearly someone does not know me if they think I in any way want to be in the wrestling industry. I enjoy podcasting. I enjoy talking about this show. But man, I tell you guys, I'm the worst wrestling in the one of the worst wrestling fans in the world. Like, I don't even want to watch wrestling half the time. You know what I mean? I say that I just have to be in the mood for it, and a lot of times I have to force myself when I'm not in the mood. Just being a podcaster and watching a show. So, man, like being involved, I could give two shits. All right, I enjoy being a fan, and that's all it is for me. I don't desire to be anything above that. But I do my best to get insider info for you guys because I know it's what you want. It's not necessarily what I want to do and seek it out and get involved in the drama of all those things. So I mentioned to you guys the other day, I had surgery Friday, I think. And I wake up, check, first time I check my phone, I'm still a little high. I've got Gail Kim in my DMs. I have Sean Stapp in my DMs. I have someone else from TNA that I spoke to for the first time. Former employee of TNA. It was like I had all these messages in my DMs, mostly positive. I'll let you guess which one wasn't. But I wake up and I'm just like, man, am I awake? Am I asleep still? It's crazy shit, crazy day. But I don't enjoy any of the negativity that surrounds it. I like to be negative in my own right, reviewing this show. That said, I haven't listened to it, but Jim Cornette reviewed last week's TNA, I believe, which was not a strong episode at all. Production quality wise, it's one of the worst we've had on a little bit. Just visually, it didn't look great. I didn't think it sounded particularly good. But he reviewed it. I didn't go back and listen to it because I do have thick skin, don't get me wrong. But the one thing that still really bothers me, and it's like this not so much in just wrestling, but we're talking about TNA here in this case. When someone is overly critical about something that they don't know anything about, that is something that like traditionally has really bothered me. If there's something that I have no knowledge on, I really don't try to speak on it. I try not to have much of an opinion about it because I don't know what I'm talking about, right? I like Jim Cornette a lot. You know, I, Cornette, Russo, Bischoff, like I love all these guys. Okay, you can probably hear some of their influence in what I do, whether it be my terminology or whatever. Like there's I share very similar takes with them on the wrestling industry, which makes me in the TNA fan world a little polarizing. Like there's a lot of people who don't like me for that. I'm not the biggest fan of modern wrestling in the world. Like I'm an older dude. I listen to some of these older podcasters who have been there, who have done that. It's whatever. But I like Jim. I don't really like Brian Last, but I like Jim. So I haven't listened to it because it does. I don't. I know that he doesn't understand the company. I know he doesn't understand the show. He doesn't know the characters. He doesn't understand the stories. Which, not to say there's this long length of great stories going on right now, but he doesn't understand anything like that. You're just going in blindly watching a show. It's like me just, hey, I'm going to watch MLW this week, and then just act like I know everything based off one single episode. You know what I'm saying? When I really don't understand anything about it. So I know he was kind of destroying it. And some people said his criticisms were very similar to a lot of mine, you know, but they don't understand the show. Last definitely does not understand the fucking show. He knows that they know nothing about it. They speak about it a lot of the time. They have opinions on the show, like they watch it weekly, and they don't. So might be something interesting for you guys to listen to. I think he said it came off like a bad episode on Monday Night Raw, which he's not wrong. You know, I've been saying forever, like present wrestling differently. I point out even the Gia Miller interviews where finishes the interview and then she stands there like a goof for 3 or 4 seconds because that's what WWE does, right? Instead of, all right, there you have it, back to you, something like that. There is a lot of with this company. It's been like that really since I started podcasting. Of hey, we see this company do this, so we're gonna do it. You know, I would love to see a lot more of an original take on things rather than just be a little more proactive rather than reactive, and just present wrestling differently. I've been saying that for a long time. So for someone who's just kind of tuning in for the first time, yeah, it's gonna kind of come off like a knockoff of WWE a little bit. You know, I think when with us, we're so used to watching the show week in and out that we don't realize how many former WWE talents are on the show. We're just kind of watching what we like. We're just watching Impact. We're watching TNA wrestlers. But for someone coming in for the first time, you start seeing Dango and you start seeing Santino and Brian Myers, and you don't have memories of these guys winning matches or being a big deal on WWE TV. So for someone to just kind of tune in and I haven't watched a show in years and kind of see those guys, it's kind of like, what is this? It's something you really got to commit to. I hope that he does commit to watching several episodes to really, really take it in. I don't think it's fair to judge anything off one episode, but it also goes back to something I've said in the past that put your best foot forward at all times. Don't phone in episodes. I'm not saying hit a home run every episode, but don't phone in episodes because you never know who's watching for the first time. And last week's wasn't real strong. It was probably one of the worst episodes for him to actually to watch, but he did. So yeah, but I don't like when people just speak on things they don't know anything about. It's not that I shy away from negativity. I'm negative all the time, but it's more of a gimmick for me in the title. I try to be a little more constructive. I don't like when someone just gets on and just shits on something and it has no context of anything, you know. But yeah, man, let's move on from that. Uh Unbreakable's coming up this month. I will be going. I'm not gonna bullshit you. I wasn't going to because I was cheap and didn't want to pay the WrestleMania prices for the tickets. But someone from TNA got me tickets. So and it's an on-screen talent too. And 90% of these sound bites that I do throughout the show are lightly making fun of these wrestlers, but I still got people who who listen and they respect what I do and thank me for what I do as far as being a TNA podcaster. And that's why I've told you guys, you know, don't be wrestling marks. I don't mean like Mike Gilbert mark.
Oh, hi, Mark.
I mean, oh my God, it's Lady Frost. Ah! Like wrestlers don't respond to that kind of fandom. It's like dating, you know what I mean? Uh, a potential guy or girl's probably going to respond to someone who's not hanging all over them, and someone who speaks their opinion and isn't afraid of what the other person is going to say, and they're just real with them and not putting on a show or not uh, being overly simpy. You know, it's like the dating world, but if you go into this wrestling world, act like a freaking fanatic, wrestlers don't respond to that stuff. Wrestlers, they respond to honesty. They respond to people being real. That's what they relate to. Not at high level, this over level of fandom, this crazy level of fandom. So it's crazy because I get the TNA crazies talk about how negative the show is, but I've never had anyone from that company ever echo those statements to me ever. So I will be there. I will be at Unbreakable. It's tough because I get off work like very shortly before it starts, so it's going to be a little tough to get there on time. But we'll make it work. Let's get into this episode of TNA Impact.
TNA Impact. Oh.
So this doesn't necessarily kick off with this because they put this out on Twitter, put it out on YouTube, and the engagement for it was very, very good. The YouTube numbers were very high. I don't know if it got bumped from the show or if it was just a different approach to their digital marketing strategy, but they had the system come out. And pay attention every time the system comes out, and when they do the pose where they put their fists in with the rings, they always crush Alicia Edwards' head every single time. It's funny. The first two, whoever's up front, I think it's Eddie and maybe Myers. It's whatever. They put their rings out. Then when Moose and then I think it's Dango from the back do it, you just see them completely smash Alicia's head. It's it's always funny. But anyway, there is a segment with the system. They come out. Alicia starts off with, "Do you want to know something?"
Hey, baby.
And Eddie Edwards, king of the white people,
Ooh, I'm white.
takes the microphone from her and says, "Do you want to know something?" So I mean, he's pretty much like getting ready to lay into all of these people, even his own wife. But he cuts what I thought was one of his better promos that he has ever done in this company. I usually cannot stand listening to Eddie Edwards talk. He just kind of comes off like he's got a mouthful of marbles. Not that I'm the most well-spoken person in the world, but I'm also not a pro wrestler cutting promos on TV. So I've never really enjoyed his promos. But he came out and he essentially pointed out like, "Hey, we keep losing. This isn't what I signed up for. The system keeps losing. You got pinned. You got pinned. You got pinned." By the way, no one's lost more than Eddie Edwards in this company the last 2 years, which is crazy. But it's also not crazy because that's how this company operates. Like, hey, oh, you're here long term. You don't have any other options. Like, you're a TNA guy forever. Okay, you're not going to win titles. You're just going to lose. You know. But anyway, Eddie is the most losingest wrestler in this company, oddly enough, because they feel safe just putting him out there losing. I guess he's one of those dudes that you feel if he does lose, it doesn't hurt him. I guess that's how you can look at it, or that's how they look at it. And immediately people are thinking, okay, well, the system is imploding. I don't think that's what it is. I just think for the sake of not being stale and doing and saying the same thing each and every week, because as I told you guys, people are becoming desensitized to the system because it's always the same promo, which the people don't really react to. It is one of them wrestles, loses, post-match beatdown. It's really like the same shit. And the problem is they've been wrestling the same people for the last 6 or 7 months. It feels like they have wrestled the Hardys. I can't even tell you how many times. And the crazy thing, they haven't beat him a single time. You know what? I stand corrected. I think they won the 6-man tag prior to. I think it was a 6-man tag prior. Yeah, because they pinned Matt Hardy prior to the steel cage match. But other than that, the Hardys have owned them. I think it's just a wrinkle in the story. If anything, I think Moose is the one who may ultimately turn babyface, not so much these other guys. That ultimately, I hope that's not what happens. The system still has some legs, but it gets to a point. It's like, okay, it's getting stale. We got to do something different. It was easy at one point to just put titles on all of them, and that was their gimmick. They had the titles for a long time. Okay, you can't just throw the titles back on them at this point. I do think Eddie Edwards is going to win this, whatever mid card title they got coming up. There's some spoilers out there, but we'll wait till they talk about it on TV. I think Eddie Edwards is going to win that. I think they are going to introduce another title to the system. But you got to throw you have to throw a curveball a little bit and just get people thinking and just change things up, because you cannot just continue to do the same thing. You can't just throw titles on them again and hey, that'll fix it, you know. But I do think there is a brand new title coming. Throw it in there. I think it could work. So, long story short, Eddie Edwards has announced that Moose, who's afraid of heights, and so is your boy, is going to be defending his title at Rebellion in the return of Ultimate X. So they, I always point this out. They always call it the return. Like we hadn't seen Ultimate X in years, but we see it multiple times a year. You know, they need to start saying return of the street fight. That's what they need to do. Anyway, interesting stuff. Adds another story to the show that I think people might have a little bit of interest in. Let's get to the actual show itself. Again, that aired on Twitter, YouTube, who knows where else. Tout, is that a thing still? Your ring announcer for the evening is Mackenzie Mitchell.
Ding bong, ding dong, he's Stone Cold Aye.
And we get the personal concierge.
That's my dad. But don't worry, he's cool.
Really? He doesn't look cool.
And he announces the TNA Knockouts Tag Team Champions, Ash by Elegance.
Come on, Teddy. Come on, Teddy.
And Heather by Elegance.
He has an erection.
Yeah. That's all her fault.
And their opponents, representing NXT, Gigi Dolin.
Your ass. Is it natural or did you have to work on it?
And her tag team partner, Tatum Paxley.
Did it? I guess it's probably because I've got a big lesbian crush on you.
We also had Ariana Grande on commentary.
Did it? I guess it's probably because I've
That's
got
not
a
her.
I'm sorry that people are so jealous of me, but I can't help it that I'm popular.
This was all right. A different way of starting off the show. They don't usually start off with the knockouts. They certainly don't start off with the knockouts tag team champions. That's pretty rare. I can't think the last time the show started and Spitfire came out and wrestled. So something a little bit different. We waited a little while for the Elegance brand, if you will, to win the tag team championships. I always knew they were, because number one, it's the Knockouts tag team division. All you got to do is put together a team and you're going to win the belts. But number two, Ash is a familiar face to the WWE audience, so it makes sense for her to be one of the champions. Makes crossover sense as well if Ash and Heather end up on NXT at some point in wrestling. So it makes sense. But Ash is another one. People know her as Dana Brooke. So if you're watching to this show for the first time, or for the first time in a long time, and you're just kind of seeing these WWE people, it maybe feels like a bad episode of Raw. Like I totally get it. I don't think Cornette is way off in his thinking there. But this was an okay tag team match. I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to it because I think we know where it's going. It's going to Rebellion. It's going to be these girls again. That's why they didn't wrestle for the titles here. They just wrestled. It's going to be these girls again. It's going to be Chikara Jackson and Lash Legend. It's going to be Spitfire. It's most likely going to be a 4-way tag team match. So I didn't pay attention to this because I'm like, well, we're going to see it again. You know what I'm saying? So after this match, after Ash and Heather win, Ash hits the rarefied air after the personal concierge pushes Tatum Paxley off the top rope. Of course, the female ref is completely clueless how Paxley was laying on her back when she was just on the offense a couple seconds ago because she got distracted. I mean, heels never win clean in this company. And it's good to cheat. Heels should cheat, but I mean, sometimes you just got to win a fucking match. We're going to talk about that again a little bit later. But yeah, Ash and Heather win. They bring the cake, the beef cake. The two guys ringside, the beefcake. They bring the sheet cake that was introduced a week prior. I'm not an expert on cakes, but if you cook a cake, if you bake a cake a week ago, I don't think it's good to eat like just like a week later. You know what I'm saying? But obviously, this was all filmed on the same night, but you feel me. You know that I pay attention to little shit like that. Okay. But anyway, they bring out the cake. There's no plates. There's no silverware, plasticware. There's no napkins. There's no cups with punch. It's just the cake. Why are they just bringing a cake out? Anyway, the beef cake, bring the cake up to Ash and Heather. Their faces did not go into the cake last week. It went in this week. So that's what's going to justify Tatum Paxley and Gigi Dolin getting tag team title shots. I assure you. All right. It's TNA booking. And then after this, they showed this a little bit later, but we'll just talk about it right now. They're backstage. Ash has cake all over her face. She's losing her mind. I don't believe Heather had cake on her face at this point, but she's asking for the limo. The personal concierge is saying, let me go get the limo, whatever. But Ash, and because she needs to write herself off TV for a week, she has said, or a month or whatever it is, she has to write herself off TV for a bit. So she says she's going on vacation. This isn't the first time they've done that with her. There was one time where she was just on her phone cutting promos or whatever. So she's on vacation. And that's one of the reasons I was thinking that the personal concierge was part of the winning tag team at the TNA Plus show, because it was a handicap match. Remember, 3-on-2 was for when Ash is off TV, that the personal concierge can wear the title, that he can carry it around like he's one of the champions. You know what I mean? I could be wrong. Maybe that's not what they do, but I just kind of feel like he's going to carry it around like he's one of the champions. So yeah, they used the cake to write Ash by Elegance off television. After this, we have Queen of the second segment, Queen of Casual Friday, socks with sandals, old slipper foot herself. You know what I'm saying? Old Jesus feet, Gia Miller.
Jesus Christ, that's perfect. Of course you're here right now.
And she is interviewing Leon Slater.
Stay here. I'm in charge.
Do you feel in charge?
I almost feel like I need to find a new soundbite for Gia Miller at this one point. Something that has to do with Casual Friday. If you guys don't know, she was caught on screen last week. Who knows? Cornette maybe even caught this. She was caught on screen last week, in slippers with socks on, cutting an interview. So I guess that's her backstage wear. And cameraman didn't know to not record her feet, and he did. So I feel like I got to find a soundbite, but it's hard for me to get rid of the current soundbite I have for her, because I love Anna Kendrick. That is my celebrity crush, and I don't have celebrity crushes. I don't like celebrities. And I know you'd be like, oh, well, no, you're a horn dog. You're always pointing out girls being hot on this show. I appreciate a beautiful woman. That's all it is. I'm very, very happily married, so I'm good there, but I do appreciate like beautiful women on TV or whatever. But like, I don't actually have celebrity crushes at all, but like Anna Kendrick is as close to it as it gets. Like that's the hall pass. You know what I'm saying? But to make it clear, if there was no toilets left in the world, the world ran out of bathrooms, Anna Kendrick would not take a shit on me. So before he said, "Oh, BQ said he could get Anna Kendrick," no. Anyway, yeah, I might have to get rid of her soundbite. But she interviews Leon Slater backstage. I enjoy Leon's interviews. I think he does a good job. I think he's continually getting better and better. We're seeing one of the future stars kind of develop in front of our eyes, which is something that we've been, thirsting for a little while. We're so accustomed to this person came from AEW. Let's make him a star. Not AEW, but WWE. I guess they got one or two AEW guys, but we just been accustomed to that. We've been accustomed to they push people who have recognizable faces, and just developing someone from scratch from the bottom is like so just rare. And we're seeing it in front of our eyes with Leon Slater. So, I think everyone universally likes him. I don't think there's anyone that looks at this kid and be like, no, I'm not feeling it with this dude. There's still a lot of development that's got to come. Don't get me wrong. There's still a lot of development, but he's very, very good. And I'm enjoying just growing with him. You know what I mean? Just watching him grow and all that on screen. Next match that we have on the menu, we have Big Boom, AJ Francis,
Boom!
and his tag team partner Casey Navarro.
But I am telling you right now, that motherfucker back there is not real.
And they're teaming up with King of the Block Party.
It's a block party. I'm not playing with y'all, bro.
Frankie Kazarian. They are taking on the team of the Lucha Dragons, the number one contender for the Digital Media Championship, Laredo Kid. You might need to keep an ear out for Santino's announcement next week. Octagon Jr.
Oh, you speak English?
No, just that first speech and this one explaining it.
You're kidding, right?
Okay.
And their tag team partner. I do not have his. There it is. Their tag team partner, Chavo Guerrero.
Why? It's not right.
This was a pretty good tag team match, actually. Chavo can still go. Chavo looks great. And I believe he's in his early 50s. I said that about the Colognes recently. Someone looked it up. They're like 42. They're younger than I am. I would have thought they were older. But Chavo's in his 50s. He looked excellent in this. Obviously, Job Rado Kid always looks pretty good in the ring. Octagon, he's pretty impressive. Casey Navarro meshes with those guys very well. AJ Francis always works up to the level of his competition. And, people are still, again, it goes back to people watching for the first time. They see AJ Francis, they see Top Dollar, and they don't have the most fond memories of him, even though he's done really, really good work in TNA, from the character work to the wrestling. Like he's done a very good job. There's very little he's done on screen that's actually bad. Maybe in WWE he was doing bad work, like he's not in TNA, but he always works up to the level of the competition. That's what I like about him. When he's in the ring, he adjusts to whoever he's wrestling. And I don't think he's ever truly going to get credit for that, especially not from the Jim Cornettes of the world and all that. He's never truly going to get credit. And then obviously Frankie Kazarian, you can plug him into any match, any opponent. It's good. First Class won on the TNA Plus show, so that means that they're supposed to wrestle again until the good guys win. That's every feud on this show. So, overall, very, very good. Chavo Guerrero does the Gory Buster, gets the win. He's over with the people. The crowd was very, very into this. So, great match. Great. I think it would have been a better opener than a Knockouts tag team match, but, very good. Then we got Rosemary backstage.
What's that?
Is that Rosemary? Think? What the hell is she doing?
She wasn't backstage, but it was like some kind of vignette. I didn't understand what she's talking about. I never do. It's just kind of babbling. I used to have this issue with Bray Wyatt when I watched WWE, rest in peace. At first, I'm like, man, this guy's promos are great. And then after a while, I was like, dude, he's taking up 20 minutes of the show saying nothing, you know? Thank God we're not listening to Rosemary talk for 20 minutes, but I don't know where any of this is going. I don't know if she's after Zaya Brookside, if she's like she cuts a promo and you don't know if she's feuding with someone or if she's just saying shit just to say shit. You know what I mean? But I mean, that's the mystique of her character. And it's something very different than everyone else on the show. So I don't mean it's bad by any stretch of the imagination. I don't get it. Then backstage, cinematic with music, we have Santino.
Sometimes may be good, sometimes may be shit.
He is at a table with security and Mance Warner,
All Mud Show garbage wrestler.
Steph DeLander,
Everybody's been real nice.
Well, that's because you have big jugs.
and Salami Calorie Ham, the bread machine.
Oh, you gotta give him that huck too and spit on that thing. You get me?
He's fat!
This would have been better without the music. And they're handcuffed here. They're handcuffed. This would have been better without the music. I feel like I've been saying that for like 5 years now. Every time they do these things backstage, I just feel like they got to put some kind of soundtrack behind it. And I don't think the soundtrack fits. I think it takes away from the emotion of the angle. You know, it's really the difference between difference for me between like realism and cheesiness, you know, and it just kind of comes off cheesy when you do that, but it's whatever. They're clearly not going to fix it, so I guess I don't need to talk about it any further. But Santino is saying, what do we need to do to bring this to an end? Well, the heel already won the match, so it's over, right? End of feud, right? No. We must wrestle until Sami Callihan wins. Sami Callihan is saying, you cheated. Wasn't this a street fight with no rules? How do you cheat? He won fair and square as far as I'm concerned. Feud over. Feud over. No. We must wrestle till Sami wins. The problem is they went straight to the garbage match. So obviously they're going to wrestle again. It's going to be some other kind of garbage match. It's probably going to be last man standing. That's my assumption. I could be wrong. I feel like that's probably what it's going to be. I was right the first time when I said they were going to have a garbage match. They're probably going to do something like that. It's not going to be a cage. You know, actually, you know what it is? You know, let's rewind here. Because they were handcuffed, I think it actually could be like a strap match or something where they're tied to each other. Because they usually kind of give this stuff away a little bit if you watch this segment. So I think that makes more sense. It might be like a Russian chain or a strap match or something like that. Fucking strap-on match. That'd be something. And then, of course, Mance attacks him, and Tom Hannafin no-sells it to let you guys know that for the first time ever, Leon Slater will take on Nick Nemeth in the main event. Next match we had on the episode, representing NXT, JC Jane.
You might end up dead. You might end up dead is my middle name. What about Jane? I don't know her middle name.
She goes one-on-one with the TNA Knockouts champion, the director of waste management, Masha Slamovich.
How do you like my garbage truck? This truck is in honor of Kamala and Joe Biden.
And I told you guys a couple weeks ago, JC Jane is much better in the ring than Cora Jade. Much better. So they had a good match here. Masha obviously wins. There's never a doubt about this. I believe JC Jane is returning for the next set of tapings. There's something you have to understand. TNA does not bring in people for one-offs, except like Charlie Haas. But Charlie Haas also like tore a bicep in that match, so who knows? He might have been booked on the next set of tapings. But they don't typically one-off people. If you bring in Gigi Dolin and Tatum Paxley on, even though they wrestle and lost, like they're going to find something else for them to do. JC Jane had this match here, non-title, lost. They're going to find something for her to do. After the match, we needed a post-match beatdown because that's what happens at this point of the show. And it is Tessa Blanchard.
Oh, I don't like this. That if the Nuggets don't win this.
She's beating down Masha. And then coming to the rescue, queen of the rubber match, Zaya Brookside, and her friend
From Chingchong, China.
Laying Lee. This is probably leading to some kind of 6 knockouts, 6-woman tag team match. Because why else would Zaya Brookside and Laying Lee run out there? Have they shown any kind of... Have they saved Masha before? Have they had any kind of interaction with Tessa Blanchard, with JC Jane? Like, they just ran out there to run out there. Because they need to justify Tessa and JC Jane versus Zaya Brookside and Laying Lee. That's probably... They're probably doing something along those lines. I don't know what they're going to do for the Knockouts title or Rebellion yet. I think they're going to drag Tessa to Slammiversary. Usually they blow their load very quick on all these things. But Tessa is the one they seem like they're dragging it out a little bit. And I don't even think they're doing it for Tessa. I think they're doing it for Masha. Because they are trying to make her the next Jordan Grace. She is not, first of all. But they're trying to make her their current Jordan Grace. So they're trying to extend the title run. So I think at Rebellion, I think it's very, very possible to go back to what I was saying about JC Jane probably coming back. It's probably going to be a multi-woman match. I think it'll be Tessa, Masha, and JC Jane, though. I think it'll be 3. I don't think it's going to be more than that. And they're going to pin JC Jane in the match, or Masha's going to pin her, and then Tessa is going to say, well, you didn't beat me, and that'll lead to Slammiversary. Just like this Ultimate X match, mark my fucking words. Moose is going to win, but they're going to screw over Leon Slater in the finish. And then that's going to lead to Leon Slater. So, I mean, to me, I feel like I see all this stuff coming from a mile away. But I obviously could be wrong because I'm wrong all the time. But I thought JC Jane versus Masha was pretty decent. Just, we'll see what they do. The interesting part of this is also Rosemary, who's kind of floating around in this with Zaya Brookside and Laying Lee. I mean, she missed it, both of them, and then they had a tag team match and she lost. So I don't know. I don't quite know what they're doing. After this, we have a Mike Santana and Ali kind of recap video package a little bit. It was very, very, very well done. Everything that they've done is very well done. The only misstep is that it was narrated by Matthew Raywall.
Hey, man, I really appreciate that Patrick Price on my insurance, Jake from State Farm.
So I probably could have done without that. But I think it was good to keep Ali and Santana off the episode. I don't like when they force people onto a show. I think it was good to play this, keep them off the episode. Everything they're doing is excellent. It's the best feud on the show. It's obviously going to continue. There's legs for it to continue for a while. There's a lot of juice left in this. I was going to say a banana, but bananas definitely don't have juice. There's a lot of juice in the orange, you know. There's a lot more you can squeeze out of this, but it was good to kind of keep them off the episode this week. Next up, King of the Raw speech and star of Mike Gilbert's favorite show, Vinyl Obsession. We have Eric Young.
I think those times are like the rah speeches and like getting everybody up, because like nobody really get motivated off that stuff anyway.
And of course, he's flanked by Kid Icarus and the Wizard Walt Williams. He is going one-on-one with King of the Mid-Card, Ace Austin.
Is this your card? Yes, oh my gosh.
It's not, is it?
No,
You know, after the TNA Plus show, Sacrifice, and in last week's episode, I said, I was wondering what was next for the Rascals. And then it kind of dawned on me, prior to Sacrifice, the Northern Armory beat the Rascals and Ace Austin. So what is the formula we got to revisit that until the Rascals and Ace Austin beat them. So rather than, get some momentum on the heels, they are going to keep wrestling until and Eric Young won here. They had a very, very good match. They cheated to win. It was unnecessary. I think Kid Icarus distracted Ace Austin briefly, which allowed Eric Young to send him into the turnbuckles, into the steel post, hit the pile driver, and get the win. So, because, Northern Armory is up 2-0 here, meaning we're probably going to get a lot of this. This is probably going to continue. This little combination of Ace, the Rascals, Eric Young, Kid Icarus, and the Wizard Walt Williams is going to continue for a while. That's basically what I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be very similar to Ash and Heather versus Spitfire, where it's just combinations of them that just wrestling nonstop. So that's kind of what I think is going to happen here, because I just don't see what else there is for any of them to do. Eric Young obviously has something going on with Steve Macklin, but I think they're dragging that one out a little bit as well, because that story is not like Eric Young and Macklin are still kind of cool with each other. There hasn't been any heat yet. So I don't think we're going to get that heat over the next week or two. I think they're going to play tickle dick and grab ass with the Rascals for the rest of the month. And then I think kind of going into Slammiversary, I think that's when whatever EY and Macklin are doing, I think it'll come to head at that point. After this, and this meant it was a good match, like I said. I thought the episode here went downhill very, very fast. We had the TNA World Champion, Brother Love Handles, Joe Hendry.
Believe that.
I think we might switch up the soundbite on Joe Hendry next week. He's up for a new one. Eric Young's up for a new one. I think I know what I'm doing for him. Casey Navarro, I think I got a new one for him. So we got to switch things up every once in a while. Keep you guessing. You know what I mean? As I've been telling you guys, I watched this show on mute. I kept it on mute for this. Once I saw Joe Hendry come out, I just said, I don't care.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you something.
We don't care.
And then Elijah comes out.
Nurture me, brother. We both. This is the worst song I've ever heard.
And I just said to myself, I don't care.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you something.
We don't care.
I really didn't. I'm sorry. Whatever dialogue they had between them, I can't even recap it because I did not turn the volume up to listen. I just really didn't care. I did turn it up when King of the Block Party, Frankie Kazarian, came out. However, because he typically entertains me. Even though I'm blocked on Twitter, he entertains me. So he comes out with a bass guitar and says, real men play the bass guitar. And he is singing, which he can't. The people are telling him, you suck. This went on forever. Okay? When Elijah was singing, during his little segment, and if you don't believe me, go back and watch. I understand he's like kind of over with the audience. But when he starts singing, you can visually on TV see at least 15 people get up to go to the bathroom. If you do not believe me, go back and look at that. You can see people up and moving, and they are leaving because they are bored. I'm going to tell you this as a Hispanic. So I think this was a disconnect because of the week they chose to do it. You have a largely Hispanic audience. All right. You're in El Paso. It is northern Mexico. Again, BQ's a fan of El Paso. I like El Paso a lot. A little dangerous in some parts. But BQ's a fan of El Paso. BQ speaks in the third person if you didn't know. You have a largely Hispanic audience. You have 3 white guys going out there singing white music. All right, I'm just telling you this as like a Hispanic male. White humor does not really translate with a Hispanic audience. Just like You couldn't take a Mexican stand-up comedian and put him in the middle of Iowa and him do his act, and it may not get over because people don't relate to that. It's just different styles of humor for different cultures or whatever. But the Joe Hendry again, Joe Hendry's over. Elijah's over. I'm not saying they went out there and the fans were like, What is this shit?" I'm not saying that. But for this segment to go on as long as it did, white guys with white guy music and white guy humor, like people were getting up and leaving because that doesn't connect with that audience at all. Okay, so I thought this was very bad. I thought it went on for a very, very long time. Again, the people were getting up and leaving.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you something.
We don't care.
And then, Joe Hendry hits Frankie Kazarian, and you're like, okay, well, it's over. And it's like it felt like it took 10 minutes for him to get out of the ring and walk away. Like this just would not end. Oh my God. So yeah, this was bad. But also Frankie Kazarian, do not diss the women of El Paso. The women of El Paso got it going on. Don't even play with me, bruh. Can't believe I said bruh. After this, and you know what? I thought this episode actually it was easy to digest. We got from point A to point B pretty quickly. This was part of the show. Like, I just felt like it was not really needed. But then we get to the main event of this program. And we have Nick Nemeth.
I've been talking to people walking here. We've been talking about next year, and I'm sitting there saying, I'm not going to be here.
And he's accompanied by Ryan Nemeth.
Well, let me tell you something, brother.
And they came out first. Nick Nemeth came out first, oddly enough here. So they actually introduced Leon Slater second. Him and Leon Slater, a lot of good chemistry. Very, very good match. What lost me was the finish. Leon Slater's going for the Swanton 450, excuse me. Catches the knees. Nick Nemeth rolls him up. Should have been the fucking finish. Because then you have him kick out. He pretty much no-sells the gut shot because at that point he rolls up Nick Nemeth. And then Ryan Nemeth gets involved, cheating for the sake of cheating because Nick Nemeth should not need to cheat to beat Leon Slater. But they kind of have this story going on where you can't beat Leon if you don't cheat. You pretty much can't beat a babyface if you don't cheat, period, on this fucking company. Just look at every single match that goes on. Every heel cheats in every match, and that is just how they win. So, I mean, just like I said, don't be afraid to present wrestling a little differently. But, it's like opening match with Ash and Heather, cheat to win. Boom. Eric Young to beat Ace Austin, cheat to win. Boom. This match here, cheat to win. Boom. Like it's just, is it necessary every single time? This makes the referees look ridiculous. Like, speaking of ridiculous, during Eric Young and Ace Austin, like the goof ref is in there, and I was like, man, the wrestlers act like the goof ref is invisible. Like he's doing stuff trying to get their attention. They completely no-sell him. They pay no attention to him whatsoever. But anyway, getting to the main event here, the finish lost me. I thought it was a little overbooked in the closing seconds. I thought Nick should have just got the knees up and won. Maybe it's your main event. You feel like there has to be a finisher. The Danger Zone's a shit finisher. It's not that serious. I don't think like the people are paying tickets to see. It's not the Stone Cold Stunner. You know what I mean? But anyway, Nick Nemeth wins, and this company does not go off the air with a heel winning, or with a heel their hands up. They never have, never freaking will. They begin a post-match beatdown on Leon Slater, because that's what they do. And then you have, walking out gingerly, like they just woke from comas, Matt Hardy.
Wonderful!
And Jeff Hardy.
My name is Jeff.
Which is good. They're selling, Jeff Hardy's selling the ladder match. Matt Hardy's selling the steel cage, the beatdown in the steel cage. So that's fine. That's why they're professionals. So they came down limping. And then Matt gets a mic and sounds like he just woke from a coma. I said they were walking like they woke from one. Like Matt was speaking like he just woke from one. It was not the strongest promo by Matt Hardy, but he challenged the Nemeths at Rebellion tag team title match. I think there's a strong possibility the Nemeths actually win this. Regardless of who wins, they are going to wrestle for the rest of the year. I promise you. We are going to be talking about this in December, the Nemeths and the Hardys. Fucking trust me. They will be wrestling for the rest of the year. I think there's actually a very good chance the Nemeths win here, though. Even though I predicted at the beginning of the year that I thought the Hardys would hold the titles for the entire year, that's kind of before I saw this feud coming. So I think the Nemeth brothers are going to win this one. But that's going to do it for me, folks. I am your boy, BQ. We will be back next week to talk Impact. I'm out. Peace.